What's up, YouTube's Biblical Truther? Long time no see. A couple videos ago, when I was doing the Texas thing, I told you guys I got a notification from my Bible app that said that I forget exactly what verse it was right now, but it was in regards to the Lord having many things to show me, but my spirit wasn't ready, and this perhaps is one of them. I'm sure I'm going to get hit with the comments about blasphemy and heresy and all that good stuff, but I have to share this with you guys. And I want to show you what got me on this path to begin with. And like I said, it was during my research of the whole Texas Jerusalem thing. Um, it started out with the Hopi prophecies that I was reading. And this is it right here. It says, "These are the signs that great destruction is coming. The world shall rock to and fro. The white man will battle against other people in other lands with those who possess the first light of wisdom. There will be many columns of smoke and fire, such as White Feather has seen the white man make in the deserts not far from here. Only those which will cause disease and a great dying. Many of my people, understanding the prophecies, shall be safe. Those who stay and live in the places of my people also shall be safe." And a little commentary says, "Thus the territory in northern Arizona in the vicinity of the Hopi Reservation will apparently be a safe haven during the transition between the end of the fourth world and the beginning of the fifth." White Feather's account is corroborated by a passage from the classic book of the Hopi written by Frank Waters and Oswald Whitebear Fredericks, published in 1963, which reads, "World War III will be started by those peoples who first received the light, the divine wisdom or intelligence in the other old countries, India, China, Egypt, Palestine, Africa. The United States will be destroyed, land and people, by atomic bombs and radioactivity. Only the Hopi and their homeland will be preserved as the oasis to which refugees will flee." And I've shared with you guys before about the second Exodus and that being kind of the region where people are going to go. But when I read that doing the research on the Texas stuff, I remembered that book that Jay Dreamers had read called The Smoky God. And I could have swore in that book it mentioned something along the lines of an area of destruction that was going to be brought upon that had basically the same thing the Hopi prophecy said. But I've scanned through this book and I can't seem to find anything of that nature. But I did find this portion here. It says, "Ancient Hindu, Japanese, and Chinese writings, as well as hieroglyphs of the extinct races of the North American continent, all speak of the custom of sun worshipping, and it is possible in the startling light of Olaf Jansen's revelations that the people of the inner world, lured away by a glimpse of the sun as it shone upon the inner surface of the earth, the northern or the southern opening, became dissatisfied with the smoky god, the great pillar or mother cloud of electricity, and where of their continually mild and pleasant atmosphere, followed the brighter light, and were finally led beyond the ice belt and scattered over the outer surface of the earth through Asia, Europe, North America, and later Africa, Australia, and South America," which means they went through the northern hemisphere first. So this wisdom technically would have been first in Asia. So that got me thinking, like, what's different? Um, what's different between Western religion and the Eastern religions? And the main thing, other than a pantheon of gods, is the whole reincarnation thing, which my wife and I did not believe in, but some things happened with our daughter years ago when she started. It started when she was 2, and she was telling us some things as soon as she could talk that kind of made us think now that reincarnation is absolutely real, and that is something that has been glossed over in our current Bible for whatever reason. I don't know. But I wanted to share with you the personal experience that we had with our daughter, starting with the fact that she told us that she was in heaven with God, and they were looking through like a big screen down upon the earth where they were looking for who she wanted to be born to. And she told my wife and I that she picked us to be her parents. But not only that, that she watched my wife be born, and she described my wife's great grandmother's clothes, to which my wife called her mother and asked for any pictures from the hospital. And sure enough, she described the exact clothes that her great grandmother was wearing. And then she also asked me about a birthmark that I have, or I think it's a birthmark. I don't remember ever getting injured in this location, but I do have it. And she asked me if I had, if it hurt when I got shot. And I told her I'd never been shot. And she was like, yes, you did. I saw you get shot and you died. You like bled to death, basically. And we thought that was kind of weird. Never really given it much thought, but we had bought her a Doc McStuffins Play-Doh set. And this was a big thing for us because we was down on the floor playing with her, and she kept pointing over to the little packs, telling us to hand her that scooter. And it had like a syringe, it had like a little pizza cutter, it had some other little things that you squish Play-Doh out of. So we had no idea what a scooter was. So we kept grabbing things, what are you talking about? You talking about this? She was like, that scooter right there.
She was getting so mad. She was adamant. Oh, the scooter. Duh.
And we were like, what are you talking about? This syringe? She was like, that's not a syringe. That's a scooter. So later we was talking about it and was like, I wonder if they really called a syringe a scooter back in the day. So Jade looked it up. She Googled it, and sure enough, in the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, they called syringes scooters. And that was news to us because we had never heard that term before. So uh, that was kind of crazy. But she told my wife other things besides those that a 2 to 4-year-old should not know. And if she is not a reincarnated soul, then she was highly educated on things of the past.
Somehow.
So I'm to the point now, looking back on that, I do believe reincarnation is real, and why it's talked against in the Bible, I have some speculations, but to keep the nasty comments to a minimum, I won't go into that right now because most of the Christians that will watch this, your souls are not ready for these types of revelations either, because I sure wasn't when this all started about, I don't know, 2 months ago. But anyway, I wanted to revisit this dream, and for those of you who followed me from my old channel that YouTube deleted, you may recognize these drawings.
They're terrible.
That my wife did. Her
like I just said,
her perfect art.
Yeah.
Of a situation that I'm gonna let her explain, because when I explained it in my old video, let's see where I may have left a lot of stuff out, but this kind of falls in line with simulation theory, which is why I brought the whole thing with my daughter and reincarnation up, because since all this started, I've done a lot of research and watched a lot of videos of children giving their accounts, as well as professors who have tracked down people who these children say they used to be. And there's over, I think, 2,700 documented cases throughout the world that they were successfully able to track down who these kids said they were, how they died, their family, even brought the kids to meet the family, and they were able to tell the family things about these people that only that person and that family would have known. So it's hard to explain away, and you can't just say, well, the Bible says it's not true, so it's not true. Well, how can you explain this stuff then? But here, during my searching for answers, I come across the guy who was on J Dreamers. His channel is called Archaics, and he's got some phenomenal videos where he used mathematics to trace time and events through time. And he's pretty precise with it. So he believes that we are in a simulation. He calls it the simulacrum. Um, so that got me and my wife talking about this dream that she had a while back, and I'll let her explain these things. But I'm gonna pull up those pictures. Um, let's see. Go ahead, pull them up. So this one, I didn't know this whenever me and my wife first started talking about it, but she told me last night or the night before that 4 months around, give or take, prior to her having her experience, my daughter had a little experience too, involving. Let me get to the screen sharing so you can see this picture. This is what my daughter drew. She was probably 7, I think, when this happened. So she tells my wife that she was, her and her brother, her little brother, and all her cousins were all present in this dream, and they were all king cake babies, like the little plastic king cake babies. And she said they were floating around, but they had this weird, menacing looking screen that was just kind of following them around and peeking at them. So they were, um, they were crawling through air ducts. And this is the other thing that she drew. These are all the kids. She said they were crawling through air ducts trying to get away from this black screen that had black goo coming out of its eyes and mouth, and it just kept following them around and peeking at them. And she said she had a watch on that she could touch a button, and like a holographic screen would pop up.
We don't speak about holographic screens, like
Yeah,
you know.
the most random thing in the world for her to have a dream about, especially at 7, because I'm not sure if she ever had watched any type of cartoons that would have something like that in it, which I don't believe so, because back then, like I said, it was baby dolls and Barbies and LOL dolls before we knew the provocativeness of them, and quickly got them out of the house. But anyway, yeah, so she said she was being stalked by this black screen, which kind of gives a little inclination to um, I guess a type of simulation, something along those lines. But anyway, this is the first thing, and I'm gonna let my wife explain all this.
Just apologize in advance because I'm hopefully won't be all over the place, but I very well could be. So I've been feeling very sick, like terrible. Like I just knew I was dying, and finally, like 3 or 4 days into it, I felt like I was having like an aneurysm. But I didn't want to go to the hospital. I wasn't gonna do it that. I'm hard headed. So finally, I started to feel better a little bit, and was able to go to lay down to go to sleep. And I don't even know how to explain it. It was terrible. I started kind of having like this waking vision type situation, um, and it's not even relevant. The very beginning, but I was listening to like a psychiatrist or a teacher judging dreams of visions, if they were good visions or bad visions. So, anyways, I was listening to these people being tested about something. So then they started making this really weird noise that just really triggered me. This noise went on for like 10, 15, 20 minutes and drove me crazy. So I'm literally like begging God to take me up out of whatever they're sucking me into because it was terrifying. So I was, I guess, on my way somewhere not pleasant. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Not to hell or somewhere like that, just a situation I didn't want to observe. So I was then pulled from there and met by a young guy. He told me that someone by the name of Shaddai would be with me soon.
Did you skip this part where you heard
She,
about being controlled?
yeah.
Well,
So Don't ask me how I got from there to here. So before the person was getting me out of here, I was staring at. We have twins. We had a big bobby pillow. Was just leaning up against the wall, and I was laying in bed in our bed, staring at the bobby pillow, trying to drift off to sleep. And all of a sudden, y'all, I could not move. It wasn't like sleep paralysis. It was like I was dead. I couldn't control my body. I kept saying, Jade, just blink your eyes. Jade, just blink your eyes. And I couldn't blink. Um, and I'm worried. I'm like, our daughter's in the bed next to us, and then Michael's right there, but I can't move to like reach out for him to tell him I need help. It was it was terrible. So in the same sense, I know I'm laying in my bed, and I know our daughter's next to me. But I started hearing these young guys talking, and they were talking to each other like, "Hey, look, something's up with that one." And I'm like, who's talking, like literally in my head? So then I tried moving my head, and I heard a mechanical sound, but I wasn't able to move my head. It was like the sound a machine makes when it gets jammed. So then they're talking to one another, and I'm looking at this screen thing. It's basically like I've never worn a VR headset or anything like that, but I assume this is maybe what it looks like at a text box.
As a view from inside helmet. That's what she's saying right here.
So I said I had sensory activation abilities, made my head feel
like mechanical while making mechanical noises when I tried to move. I was still looking at the wall in my bedroom, aware of my surroundings, but could hear these people speaking to one another, controlling me like I was a sim in the sim game. And then
they were trying to figure out.
Oh my gosh, it really knows it's being controlled.
They were trying to figure out if I really, because somehow they could tell that I knew that I was being controlled. Supposedly, you're just supposed to be not aware that you're being controlled, but I was able to see that I was being controlled. And so they're like, well, spill your drink if you have your own mind or your ability to do so. And I did. They didn't take kindly to that. So that's when I kind of went to the next place.
The drink wasn't in our bedroom in our reality, it was somewhere else.
Yeah, but I mean, I knew I was in our bedroom, like physically, but like, this wasn't happening there.
Yeah.
It was somewhere far away from there.
So that's when you said, "Get me out of here."
That's why I said, you gotta do something. Like, this isn't cool. I don't. So, and it was the third time I had kind of asked, because at first you're like, okay, like this, I would like to get out of here, please. And then, you know, I just started praying, and yeah. So it goes to the next.
Asking Jesus to get her up out of there.
I couldn't deal with it. I didn't know what was happening. I was terrified.
So then from there, it was the guy who, when you come up out of this little VR headset type thing, it was a guy who said that Shadazwit.
Mm-hmm. Don't ask. I have no idea.
So
I don't. Okay, go to the next thing. There. So there's so much. It's so lengthy.
So keep talking.
So we go into this thing. She starts telling me it wasn't really other area that we here would call a planet. This is this place. Um, that basically first asked her, where's Jesus and why isn't he here to get me, like, who are you? Why are you talking to me? So she said that um I wasn't he I would talk to him in due time, but he didn't come get me personally because I wouldn't have been able to come back here if I would have seen his face and been that close in his presence. So um, she begins explaining to me how, and then went into a fit of laughter, like belly laughing at how hilarious she found it that the help confident that they had.
But that's something that talked 4 years ago. And when she said Elvin, that watching for
Experience another,
so anyway, how they think they got this thing all figured out.
And if they just had any idea what was in store for them, and how Jesus and how this whole thing was just going to get, then would hurt. But so I asked her to explain more what I was looking at, but she was talking about this situation. So she takes me on a walk or whatnot, and she opens this door, and it's the largest, most vast, cold, dead, dark, empty space you ever see or imagine in your entire life. Um, so that's what it says right here. Large, very vast, cold room. One dark entity controls it, but one fleshly type large entity. I don't even know what I wrote right there, but
Guards and keeps watch 24/7 nonstop. It misses nothing. The space is so vast it looks small.
and
The entity that is fleshly mountains
maintains
post with a control panel that can be operated with a touch holographic screen or purely mental.
And so this thing right here is kind of in the shape of like an upside down pyramid.
This up here.
Yeah. So this outer shell is coated with thousands or millions of tungsten plates, maybe carbon fiber. I didn't even know what that was at this time. A metal that is not shiny, sort of a matte looking metal. Um, the pieces of the plates of the shell didn't seem to be touching but protected one another. I assume like an armadillo. One could open independently or all together. So when it moved around, it was like it's a good explanation. But one would move, or they could all move and fold. They could just do basically whatever they were commanded to do. Very. I've never seen anything like it. So this is a horrible drawing of what we were just looking at. So there's billions of these things, and they're all plugged in. And then so the brain stem, which will be the long part, next to the top, which is the main brain. It's clever, huh? Some of the plug-in brains are gray, I assume, because they are dead or sold their soul completely. This is all conjecture. I still don't know for sure what I was looking at, but so.
With the rest are electric green. Where we sin, we are giving this evil entity the authority to torment us, beginning that exact moment. So this guy, this little devil-looking guy in the middle, immediately calls up our brain and begins terrorizing us with its self-esteem issues, selfishness, lying, drinking,
whatever you're.
and then it said until we call back on the name of our Savior Jesus Christ.
So the brain storage pods completely. What is this?
Encase the brain
And brain stem. So this thing, like I put over here, each square contains 100 to 1,000 brains and brain stems, only to a few, but the structure was enormous. Like Sydney Opera House, Empire State Building, the Great Pyramid, and I kind of had an epiphany, like, whoa, it was shaped like an upside down pyramid, but like 5 to 10 pyramids put together. I mean, this thing was huge. So it had all these different little pods, and inside each pod was like 100 to 1,000 brains in each pod, and there were millions of pods. I mean, it was just, there could have been one for every person on the planet. And most of them were lit up with this neon green fluid like tubing going to these brains. But some of them were gray and not lit up, like they weren't connected.
100% sure why. And this is more of a close up of the last picture's top piece up here. It's this piece at the top. So there's a closer look inside one of the pods. The main brain and top brain can all rotate, as well as all the pods spin around, change places, etc., and when not in use, somehow dispatch the armadillo type armor. Billions of these pods with hundreds and thousands of brains in them. So, and this is a little pod right here showing the brain. So we was talking about all this, and then we found Archaic's channel, and he's talking about the simulacrum and how it's basically we're all jacked into basically a program of some sort via our nervous system, which would entail her little experience having the brain and brain stem, because our nervous system runs down our brain stem, our chakras, if you want to call it that. So let me show you guys something else. So I tell my son a whole bunch of things about all this stuff, and he's a gamer. And for about the last 3 months, almost everything I bring up to him, he's like, "Funny you should say that, because there's this game, and this is Metal Gear Rising. Let's check this out."
Don't disrupt the students while class is in session. I believe you're familiar with the lesson plan. The same regimen you went through in Liberia. Effective program. Just look how you turned out. Of course, running it in the real world just got a bit too complicated. No fuss, no muss. Straight to the... Maybe dream is the wrong word. They can kill some POWs, some civilians. They enjoy it. We give their pleasure centers a nice big choke every time. Plus, they can shine a new body as a graduation present.
Each one of these hexagons, as you're about to see.
Another thing you have in common. I chose this. That kid's you son of a bitch. And kids are cruel. All people are by nature. They just lose touch with it as they get older. Start thinking they know right and wrong. That's immoral. War crime this. Code of conduct that. Kids, you can mold. Manipulate into performing all kinds of atrocities. And there's nothing like a good atrocity to keep a war going. That's why I'm shutting you down. You just don't see the bigger picture, do you? Say you bring this whole place down. Walks out of the rubble with all these precious brains. Nothing changes. You've got offices around the world. We're just suppliers. We don't create the market for war. And who does? The Patriots are gone. Those guys just manage the war economy. They didn't invent it. Did you think every battle in history was all part of some big old conspiracy? Bullshit! War is just part of who we are. Why fight it? Anyway, none of this will matter in 3 hours. Demand for PMCs is about to skyrocket. Like the good old days after 9/11. What are you talking about? Not here. Follow me.
Pretty wild, huh? So again, I was telling my son about that.
How pleased you are to...
Sorry. So he sends me another one. Well, he actually shows me another one. Let me see. This one actually, my wife sent me earlier. Showed me earlier.
I was just watching through the video and I was like, holy moly.
And she said this one. She said earlier on that drawing where she thought she heard like mechanical sounds. When she was.
And I went to go turn to look. Like, I went to turn my head and I couldn't turn my head.
So this is exactly what it sounded like. So, what do we live in? When I was first waking up, I got into all kind of different avenues of rabbit holes, if you will, and one of them was the whole New Age alien thing. And they talk about this cosmic AI who went to a different planet and took over. And it was a reptilian planet, which is why we perceive these evil people to be evil reptilians, and that they basically destroyed their planet and races, but they, I guess you would say, neuralinked these reptilians and then brought them as their slaves with them. This AI or whatever brought it, and they just go planet to planet doing this, and they always keep a set of slaves from each planet. But they had all came here, and this is according to the whole Pleiadian BS and whatnot, that they all came here with these reptilians and started, taking over our Earth and our people, and basically getting people jacked into the Matrix, and having this virtual world. And that's another thing that Archaics talks about, how at one point, this was always a simulation, but at some point there was a more or less like a virus that affected the simulation, and it was put on lockdown, which is also what the New Age alien people say happened. But it was the Galactic Federation that put like I don't remember the exact term they used, but they basically put like a containment field around the Earth so these this AI with their slave reptilians could leave the planet.
I've never heard this before in my life.
Yeah, this
It's
has
like
all
the
been
best
told
movie
by
ever.
this has all been told by the Pleiadians, or the Orions, or the Blue Avians, or the Nordics, or the yeah, they're here to save us.
But there is truth in everything.
So
It might be even small.
whether it's religion or just folklore or superstition and myths, there's definitely truth in all of it. But yeah, they said that this AI was trapped here now, and that these reptilians are like their spokesmen. So they have these off-world meetings at like Saturn on one of their moons or whatever, and the reptilians for the AI who wants to get out but can't because the Pleiadians have this. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, so it would be akin to like the firmament being placed over the earth. You know, God placing the firmament over the earth to entrap these fallen angels, or this cosmic AI, or the uh, uh, AIX, as Archaics calls it, to find here with us in this simulation. So yeah, when she had this vision, and another thing that she didn't mention was that this Shadazwick girl had repaired her brain. Um, Said that she did have something happening with her brain, that she felt she had such a headache that
I
time
couldn't
that
feel my arm at all. I couldn't feel my left arm. My left leg was starting to kind of go numb. My head, I felt like 10, 18 wheelers were sitting on my head. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't see. I kept just telling my, like, I'm not computing correctly. I'm not compute. That's just, it was.
And that's not terminology we
I
normally
don't.
use, but at the time she was just like, just something ain't right. You know, my head's hurting way too much.
And
So she was under the impression she was having an aneurysm, which kills probably 90% of the people who have them, if not higher percentage than that.
my grandma had one at the same age I was at the time. So after it got so bad, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is an aneurysm. You know what I mean?
So who was it that fixed it? That the girl
It was Chadazwick.
And she also told my wife that it would take up to 3 days for her to feel better. And about 3 days later, she was back to normal.
I was 100%.
So
it was crazy.
It was just the way things happen. We can't deny, just like with our daughter telling us all the things that she told us as a child, we just can't deny that either she watched our lives prior to coming here, which she did, because she said she saw my wife being born, and she started crying, talking about how beautiful she was. So it was not only just her speaking about it, but she was quite emotional also. So something is afoot here in this world.
Right. I was raised. I was made to go to a Jehovah's Witness church growing up with my dad, who was an elder for the church. Very strict, and they're not allowed to research anything under any circumstances besides what they're told, and research and study the books that they're given. So, like y'all, when I say I'm indoctrinated to only go by what the Bible says, only. And I didn't want to be a part of that religion once I got about 15, but that's just how I've always been. I trust God, and I trust the Word of God, and I trust Jesus. And to go on and think there's anything to any of this, like, that dream was in January of 2021.
2020.
No, 20.
No, it was 2020 because that was on my old channel.
So.
Because when we looked at the other video you made when you woke up, that was from January 10th, 2020.
And usually, if I have a dream or we get a word, we want to let everybody know about it. But man, this one's been hard to swallow.
That was a little far out there. And I did make a video on my old channel, and I don't know how many of you guys were with me on my old channel who've seen that, but I always say I don't make videos unless I feel compelled to, or if I feel pushed in my spirit to do so. And I do believe it's been well over a month that I've just been putting off making this video because I've been learning and listening to other people and their research and double checking research and just trying to verify that what I'm fixing to share is what needs to be shared, and I just can't deny it. I don't know exactly how it works here, but that dream was just crazy.
But obviously, we needed to be here for something. We're here for a reason.
Yeah.
I think we're all supposed to remember why we're here and who we are and embrace that power in each other with God and Jesus in.
And I will not take the title of a prophet, but if you watch my last channel and then the videos I posted on this channel, I've made some videos that were just not even related to anything that was going on at the time. And, the longer time passes, the more that they come to fruition. I mean, it's close to 30 videos now. One of which, when I told you guys that giants are coming, you're now seeing TikTok videos of giants on, walking up and down mountains. They had, what's that woman, Gene, that had the one that the guy in. I would like to look it up. I might try and put the link in the description if I find it. But this lady had a video of a guy in Sam's Club, and this guy was every bit of 8 foot plus, and he had about a 4.5 foot, 5 foot shoulder span. I mean, this dude was huge. Like, we have 7-footers in the NBA, but they're not built like this dude. He was either a DARPA super soldier or he was a Nephilim hybrid. Like, this dude was massive, and he was built like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I'm saying? So if you can imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger, 5 feet across, 8 foot tall. That's a big old dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told you guys, these people, you're going to start noticing just obscenely big people just kind of walking around blending in. And then, I don't know, that was what, 2 months ago? She sent me that video at work and was like, check this out. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, he's just walking through Sam's like he belongs, just, 3-4 foot above everybody in the store. And it was just crazy. So I was like, wow, is it starting already? And then last week she sent me a video of a guy who had a friend in Mexico who sent a video of a giant. They videoed on top of a mountain, and you could see the interstate. The cars was going by. Like, these people just
12 feet tall.
Noticed him up there on top of the mountain, and they pulled over and videoed. I guess they zoomed in as close as they could. But this dude was big. And then there was another one in Canada that was from even further distance away, and they noticed that there was this figure on top of a mountaintop, and it looked like a man just kind of bent over with his hands on his knees, and then all of a sudden you see this thing stand straight up, like every bit of 30 foot. Like, they're starting to move and come out and move around, So that's another one. That's videos are starting to pop up. Seems like every other week, new giant videos, bigger, and I don't know, it's just crazy, man. And then we got the pox, that's made by monkeys, and I did that video about my daughter's dream with my niece having those bumps, and here we are having this situation. So
at least y'all know it's coming from a place of God and a good place. So,
but I want to show you this little video right here. Y'all remember this movie?
Everything is the devil to you, mama!
So that's us as Christians. We're made to have that kind of mentality. You know what I'm saying? Everything is the devil.
All right.
Is evil. We're not to look at this. We're not to look at that. We're supposed to be King James only, canonized version, blah blah blah. But I've told you guys, for 2 years now, 2.5 years now, that you got to get out of that paradigm, because you're not going to find any truth, or you're going to find a little bit of truth, but you're not going to find explanations of the stories of the canonized Bible without reading the other books that were removed. And most Christians will sit there and say that the false prophet is the Pope. But they're King James only, who was the Catholic Church that did that. And it just don't make no sense. How are you going to accuse that man of being a false prophet or the false prophet of the Antichrist, but yet you won't venture outside the canon, who was put together by the Catholic Church and sanctioned by the Catholic Church? It just don't make no sense, man. You know what I'm saying? So get out of that mentality. And stop looking at everything as if it's the devil or written by the devil, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much information out there of texts that are said to be evil and demons and all this type of stuff that have an acceptable amount of truth to it. So I'm sure I'm gonna get hit with some comments, and that's cool. But apparently, if you're one of those that's gonna put down on this video and make those type of comments, then like my soul wasn't ready, a few months back, your soul's not ready either yet. So just keep trying, keep striving. Yeah, so that's what I do. I'm here to get your brain working and thinking and alternative ways of looking at things, and hopefully we did our job tonight. I do believe reincarnation is 100% real. Now how it works, whether it be a simulation or, I mean, technically, even if God, when God spoke this place into existence, or the original earth, if we're not on it, whatever the case may be, it was his thought. It was his.
Doesn't change anything about who we are.
Right.
Who we are to our Father in heaven.
I mean, technically.
Changes nothing.
Technically, this is a simulation of his, even if it's a physical place and not a simulation, as in like CGI type of deal, which I don't think that's what it is at all. But I mean, technically, we're in his simulation. You know what I'm saying? This is his story. It's history. His story. So, I mean, technically, we are in a simulation. It's his simulation. So, don't be so quick to discount and pop off just because I say simulation theory has more merit than you think, because it's not your virtual reality simulation type thing. It's a little different than that, a little more complex than anything that we can come up with in this world. So I hope this has opened some eyes, or at least spawned some new ways of thinking or new thoughts, or maybe even connected some dots. I don't know. But I did want to get my wife on here to explain that. Because that's wild, man. That's pretty wild.
Should have been there. It's really crazy.
But all right, man. It's been almost 50 minutes, and we're gonna get off here and let you guys go. It is Friday night, so we really don't have to go to bed, but I am kind of tired. So I'm gonna end this broadcast, man. I love you guys. Y'all be safe and keep striving for the truth.